Hi, Mrs. Ward. I'm so happy that you were able to come and talk to us about your son today. We all love Sherlock, and we just thought that we should take some evaluations, as we have discussed previously, about some of the areas that he may be struggling with. So, we did some evaluations with Sherlock, and we went over broad reading clusters. We went over reading, basic reading skills, broad math, and broad written language. That is my ice maker. I'm sorry. So, these are the scores that we have, and I'll give you a copy of the scores so that you can see. And the way we take these scores is by placing them on this bell curve. So I'll just explain this really quickly. So this will tell us where on the curve Sherlock will lie, and depending on where he lies on the curve will depend on, will show us whether he is doing as well as most of the other students in his grade, if he is excelling, or if he needs a little bit more help. So here, where most students are, is what we call the norm, the average range. So this is where most students in his class lie. And then going backwards, here is, you can see there's less kids in here, which means that there's going to be less children on average, or students on average, that we have gathered that are going to need more support in this area, and the support intensifies as we get lower. The same thing can be said for this, so if they are at in here, that means that they are excelling more than the average range of students, and that and as we go more this way, the more that the student is excelling. So let's look at Sherlock's scores and then place them onto the paper. So let's start with the cluster broad reading, and he got the standard score of 43 and percentile rank of 1. So this means that he would lie at 43, which means he would be in here, in this area. This is where his test scores suggested that he was at. This means that his score showed very low, and he will need more supports than some other students, and we have those supports. Next is letter word identification, and this one is 42. So 42 will be in that same area right here, and same things apply. We would just give him more supports and more educational services. Next is the passage comprehension, and he scored low average on this one. He scored an 82, so he would be in this one, which means that we don't have to worry about his passage comprehension at the moment. He is in the average range. So moving on to sentence reading fluency, he scored very low as well. That's the descriptor for it. The standard score was 42, so again, he'd be in here. The next one that we will be looking at is the basic reading skills. He scored a 57, which is very low, and he will be here. This is where he would be. So not as low as this one, but he'll still need some support there. And just like in the other ones. So for the word attack test that he did, he was low average. He was 81. So again, we don't have to worry about him because he falls into this range. In broad math, he scored a 63. So he would be in this area as well. In the applied math, he scored a 40, so he would be here. And this is just for a visual. So he was 3 standard deviations, which is just like 3 sections less than the other students. His score was. For calculations, he was low, not very low, so he would be here. And he was at a 70, so he was right on that line right here. So he's bordering the average range for students his age. Math, facts, fluency, he is average. He scored a 100. He's right in the middle right here. So he's doing a fabulous job there. He does not need any supports. And moving on to the last section of the testing that we have is the broad written language. So the broad written language, in general, he scored a 70. So he would again be on the line right here. So he's teetering right now between average range and lower. Next is the spelling. So spelling, he scored a 40. He scored a 40. So he would be right here. In the writing sample, he scored 101. So that means that he's actually in here. He's doing fabulous in the writing sample section. He is also doing great with sentence writing fluency. As you can see, he scored a 109. So he is over here, right here in average in both those things. So moving on to what he might need, what these results might mean, is that for I have some conclusions here. He is having a hard time with some assessments, and we can give those to him. So in writing, he lacks strategies to spell words in appropriate syntax. He wrote some of the letters correct according to the sounds that he heard. However, many of the correct letters were often heard. Okay, I'm messing up. So we can provide Sherlock services in the areas that he's going to need the most services will be math and reading and basic reading skills. He's doing a wonderful job in writing with average and a very low section on this bell curve. So we can give him services for that. What those look like, we can talk about that if you want to continue. For math, he is very low. The descriptor or his scores are very low for the applied problems, and his calculations are low, but his math facts fluency are average. He's doing very good in math facts. For written language, we will just need to work on spelling again. For reading, we are going to need to work on, we would help him with broad reading, letter word identification, passage comprehension, and sentence reading fluency, as well as basic reading skills. We could give him those services. I would recommend those services. I don't think I can recommend actually. So, yes, I will now pass off some of the information that we have collected on Sherlock some more to Miss Jill.